Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rich Taylor from SPEC Media YouTube channel. Here with my co-host, my partner, my brother from another mother, Aaron YEEZEEYEE, fresh hot off the SDCC 2024 circuit. This is By the Dip, episode 30.1. We're going to go over 2 honorable mentions and 5 key issue collectible comics down in value. Aaron and I will give you our opinions if we think it's a good play, maybe wait, maybe stay away. We'll get all that. But first, let's go ahead and introduce my partner, Aaron YEEZEEYEE, fresh from SDCC 2024. He was a wild man over there. What's going on, Aaron?
Chilling, Rich. How are you?
I'm
It
doing
feels
good.
good. It feels good to be back. Definitely getting. I feel like I'm starting to almost get back into the swing of things, of like what a normal week is like. So, but yeah,
Hell yeah. And you said you had a ton of pickups, right?
yeah, I didn't think the pickups keep on shrinking. Like since like I'm actively selling too as well. So
Gotcha. Is that on Whatnot or eBay? Both.
both.
Any other secondary market platforms?
There might be a how may I help you sell in the works coming up the line.
There we go.
Yeah, if I have stuff left over from that, I'll definitely bring the heat when I can.
So a little more about how may we help you? Where first of all, is that on YouTube? And if it is on YouTube, how do they find it?
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be on the Mighty Mel V channel, and so it's on YouTube, and it's a group of us that just to get together and sell books. So
okay, let's see if we can find one. Here we go. Here, this one. Wow, look at the lineup. Wow. Wow, look at that intro. But look at her doing the worm. That's awesome.
As you know the rules.
Mighty Mel, there's our guy.
Claim,
Lucas,
letter,
our guy International, Josh, and then there is our boy Aaron YEEZEEYEE. So make sure you guys are subbed up to the Mighty Mel V YouTube channel, home of It's Drunken Chat Son, every Friday night, typically after the original Hot 10 show on the House of Stein, but now they've been doing it a little earlier.
Yeah, so it just depends on their schedules and stuff like that. So
very cool.
Yeah,
very cool. All right, before we get into the show and we get into the list, along with we're gonna have it's gonna be I was gonna go long form because Aaron and we didn't have a show for you guys. We just did the rewind for the Doom stuff from last Memorial Day from 2023. But so I was telling Aaron, maybe we'll just give him a long form because they didn't get one last week. But Aaron has so many pickups and cool things from the mail that I decided, you know what, let's just go short form, throw some MCU news on there, and do your pickups. And we'll see. I bet it works out. So, cool. All right, Heroes Reborn in the Heroes Reborn comics, always one of the first in the chat. Really appreciate you. I got to get you a wrench. Remind me to do that. Funhouse Comics holding it down with the wrench, says can't wait. She is going to be a banger tonight. Interesting. I wish I knew who she was. But and of course, make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button if you feel you need to. Appreciate you guys. Derek Neiman, what up, man? Yeah, I saw him on Black Crown Comics. Make sure you guys are subbed up to Landon. I always say Lando, but Landon's YouTube channel, Black Crown Comics. That's BLAKK Crown Comics. Derek was in the live chat. Appreciate you, brother. I saw your comment too. Awesome. Funhouse going off with the wrench. Heroes Reborn Comics. What is up, Richie? Cool. Appreciate
Heroes Reborn should have a wrench now.
Okay, Heroes Reborn should have a wrench. So we'll be checking that in a second. If you don't see it, just go ahead and refresh your page, Heroes Reborn. Lord Zero, what up, man? He says, hello, everybody. Hello, man. Appreciate you. He's had some awesome pickups, shown me via PM on on IG. And he got an unbelievable deal on a mass signed remarked book. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Heroes Reborn saying, "What's up to you, Yeezy? Igor in the house. What up, Igor?" He says, "Hey, fellas, happy Tuesday. Appreciate you." Funhouse continues, says, "I'm sure Aaron killed it." Of course, Aaron is a machine. And then Jersey the Bay in the house with the mitt says, "Yo, what up? Appreciate you, Jersey the Bay. Really love when you're in the chat, man." Timothy Brandt in the house says, "Is that the Yee-tastic, boombastic Yeezy Yee?" And Lord Zero Comics and Stuff says, "Nice." And then Funhouse Comics ends it around by saying, "Show." So,
Do
all right.
you know what this is funny about Word Zero? I even stopped by his place of work with Bryan, and he wasn't there, so I didn't get a chance to meet him.
And he works at the library, correct? Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
There's plenty of trees there.
The Green Library.
Yeah, if I recall, there's plenty of trees and papers.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Before we get into the list, we have some MCU news. But before we go, we do respect, Aaron and I do respect you guys. We understand how big Deadpool 3, aka Deadpool Wolverine of a movie is. So there are spoiler alerts right here. So if you guys have not seen the movie and you are planning on seeing it, bounce here for about 5 to 6 minutes, come back and check it out. Okay, so spoiler alert right here. I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds. This is going to spoil Deadpool and Wolverine. It's more of a, it's not going to spoil. We're not trying to spoil like who showed up and who, we're not trying to do that. But at the same token, there's some really important news that came out today, and I think we need to report it. I haven't seen many reporting it. So let's get into it. 3, spoiler alert. 2, spoiler alert on Deadpool Wolverine. 1, let's go. All right. So did Loki season 3 just get set up by Deadpool 3, aka Deadpool Wolverine? Okay. The intro features major ties, well, throughout the movie, but the intro to this article, he's saying, and this is from the direct, and then the next story is the direct as well, but it's from Daniel RPK. But let me continue. Deadpool and Wolverine featured major ties to Disney Plus's Loki series, sparking theories Marvel Studios may be building the groundwork for Loki season 3's comeback. Marvel Studios introduced the world to the Time Variance Authority, comic people know as the TVA, on Disney Plus in Loki as a multiversal police with ties to Kang the Conqueror. But after 2 seasons of Loki, the TVA has expanded its MCU horizons with a starring role as a major antagonist in Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine teases the TVA and Loki's future. Okay, the TVA made its first MCU appearance outside of Loki and Deadpool and Wolverine as Agent Paradox pulled Deadpool from his timeline. Remember, his first appearance is in the She-Hulk run. I want to say the second Dan Slott one, She-Hulk 3, I believe. It could be the first one. I can't remember offhand. But anyways, this came as Agent Paradox, who's played by the dude from that HBO series Successions, Matthew McFadyen, warned Wade Wilson of the incoming end of his universe continuity reality following the death of its anchor being Hugh Jackman's Wolverine from the Logan movie, because he was set in that universe. They calling that Fox universe Earth 10005 or 10005. Yeah, I guess that's right.
What I do like in the movie is how they make it like crystal clear which Earth they were in.
Yes, I like that too. The only problem I have with the whole thing is they just came out before the movie's released and confirmed that the MCU live action Inner Universe 616 was in fact Earth 1999-99, and then they went and put Earth 616 on the screen. You knew I wanted to jump through the wall. You probably thought of me when you saw that, right?
Yeah, I was like, I can't wait to hear Richie's opinions on all those.
I went no. But anyways, all right. Anyways, back to it. Yeah, so like Aaron was alluding to, he's right on point as always. Each time a different continuity or a different reality was entered and left, they would tag it. And the Fox universe of all those Fox movies, Logan, Deadpool, Josh Brolin's Cable is Earth 10005, which is 10005. Okay. Now, back to it. Deadpool and Wolverine established a new status quo for the TVA in which Hunter B-15, which, by the way, those Hunter B-15s are a reboot, the MCU's twist on Justice Peace characters, Justice Love characters, okay? Just to let you guys know that. Appeared to be taking a leading role. Following Loki's events, the TVA now monitors all universes across the void, not just the Sacred Timeline. The change in mission may have stemmed from the TVA's new endeavor of tracking Kang variants after Loki Season 2, monitoring the entire multiverse to keep tabs on their lives, plans, and motivations. Having once set out to prune every Earth outside the Sacred Timeline, the TVA is seemingly focused on maintaining all the timelines functioning more as multiversal police than ever before, you know, from the first two Lokis and anybody else they tied into, any other projects, MCU projects. With the TVA on a new path, opening the doors to plenty of fresh stories, could Marvel Studios return to where it began to continue its saga in Loki Season 3? Now, this is the reason why I brought this up, because when I left the movie, I was like, dude, are we just going to sweep Loki Season 2 under the rug when the god of mischief became the god of time or whatever he became? So I wanted to know, when I walked out of that movie, what happened to Loki doing the right thing and controlling and saving all these timelines? Well, it says, is Loki Season 3 happening after Deadpool Wolverine? And they're going to explain that right now, supposedly. Here's the connection. In December of 2023, producer Kevin Wright was broached on Loki's future by TV Line, which is it's a website insider. It's not a trade. Decent, but not, you know, and suggested the team wouldn't, quote, want to rush into Season 3, Loki Season 3, if there's not a good story to tell. He went on and said, for 2 seasons, I've loved working with this team, Loki. I would love to keep telling those stories with them in this world. I don't think any of us would ever want to rush into Loki Season 3 if there's not a good story to tell, end quote. This person that just quoted this, Mr. Wright, did ponder a spinoff surrounding the TVA, suggesting a series could be their Better Call Saul to Loki's Breaking Bad with the TVA. He went on and said, quote, but I think this team could go off and tell other stories, talking about the TVA. Maybe it's not Loki Season 3. Maybe there's something we can continue to do at the TVA, and it's like our Better Call Saul to Loki's Breaking Bad. That would be cool to me. I like this guy, end quote. The producer also spoke with the Phase Zero podcast in November of 2023 to discuss how Loki Season 2 was developed as a, quote, closing of the book, end quote, to, quote, finish the end end quote, indicating the first 2 seasons were always framed as a 2-part affair. Went on by saying, I will say this, I said it, and I know head writer Eric Martin kind of repeated it. We did treat this like a closing of the book. Season 1, 1 chapter. Season 2, another chapter. And that was kind of a challenge from Owen Wilson after Season 1. He's like, this is Owen Wilson saying this, nobody ever has the courage to close the book. Like, let's close the book. Let's finish the story. And it felt right. Whatever. Nonetheless, he expressed his affection for the Loki world, adding how he would love to keep telling stories about characters like Sylvie, the TVA, Loki, so on and so forth. I would love this. I love this world. I love these characters. Talking about Marvel characters, MCU characters. I would love to keep telling stories about characters like Sylvie, the TVA, Loki. Obviously, I would love to tell more and more Loki stories if that became a possibility. But right now, I don't see how it is with what he's doing. But then in another interview with Variety, October 23, the same person, Mr. Wright, noted how Loki was left open-ended. So he literally just contradicted what he just said, but with no specific plans for Season 3. With that said, the producer was clear that there are, quote, many, many, many more stories still to be told in this Loki TVA Sylvie world. Continues by saying, I think it's open-ended. We certainly did not develop this season going. We have to tee up Season 3 in the way that we did with Season 1, where there was a very specific, hey, we're coming back. But I also think that where the show goes, there certainly can be many, many, many more stories told with Loki in the Loki world, along with the other worlds connected to the Loki character, along with Sylvie and the TVA. And he finishes off by saying, as the multiverse saga has under 3 years to go until it concludes with Secret Wars, it would be surprising to see Loki season 3 before then. If Disney Plus series were to return, the MCU might save it until the next saga to deal with the aftermath of the Avengers blockbusters or other tales with the God of Mischief. So they didn't answer our question. Well, they kind of did answer our question. They went into season 2 with the idea that we are going to what is that, lock, stock, and barrel, like this is it, this is the last shabam. And it kind of bums me out that they're not talking about a connection between what Loki made the sacrifice to do to save all the timelines and what happened in Deadpool 3. That's kind of a bummer.
Well, it kind of sounded like from all that, it sounded like Owen Wilson was the one that didn't want to do a next season. Yeah. And then the director or whoever made it sound like that it's a possibility to have like spin-offs. I mean, it seems like it's more likely that we'll see TVA like randomly show up.
That's what it sounds like, right? Yeah.
Right. Or, you know, like instead of doing like a whole spin-off series, it sounds like they'll just randomly show up in different things, right? And then it made it sound like that they're open to, I guess, exploring more of that world, right?
Yes.
That there's other stories to tell, that even if Owen Wilson doesn't want to be a part of it, then they can.
I think that was kind of like what he was saying on the like.
In a professional way.
Yeah, exactly.
In a professional way that, you know, if he wants to come back, then he can, but, you know, we can still tell other stories.
Good call. Good eye. Good ear. Nice. So, all right, guys, let's move on. We have more news. Well, Iron Man 4's release now happened following Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom return. This is a good one. Following MCU's announcement with RDJ returning to the MCU, fans wonder if an Iron Man 4 release could finally be in the cards with the MCU in later phases. After a decade of portraying Tony Stark, Downey Jr. hung up his suit of armor following Avengers Endgame as he sacrificed himself with a fatal snap defeat to Thanos. Since departing the MCU, Downey Jr. initially struggled to refine his footage in Hollywood. At least that was the case until he came along and won the 2024 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Oppenheimer. I love that movie, by the way.
I saw it.
Okay. All right. So now, RDJ's new MCU role explained. I know a lot of you guys have been honestly wanting some clarity. I know most people I've talked to want clarity, and the other are just saying, screw it, I'm buying all the books. So and I'll tell you what, I'm like, Aaron and I are trying to save you guys money the best way we know how with our words and our opinions. And, you know, we don't want you going out buying books that are crazy hot right now. So just keep that in mind. You guys mostly know that. I don't need to tell you, but just if in case you're new. So here we go. RDJ's new MCU role explained. This is from Daniel RPK exclusive. Marvel Studios brought one of its biggest shockers yet to San Diego Comic-Con as it announced RDJ is coming back to the MCU after making his last appearance in 2019's Avengers Endgame. But the news comes with a twist, as RDJ is switching sides for his next role. Instead, he brings the legendary Dr. Doom to life for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. The shocking move from the MCU has left fans wondering the Marvel Studios Dr. Doom will ultimately be the familiar Fantastic Four threat, Victor Von Doom, or a Tony Stark variant from across the multiverse. And that's what we're all wondering, right, guys? All right, let's find out. As the Russo brothers confirm RDJ's MCU return at San Diego Comic-Con of this year, the directors introduced him as, quote, the one person who could play Victor Von Doom, end quote, indicating he will not be a Tony Stark variant. That's how I had a feeling that was happening. RDJ's Dr. Doom is expecting to hail from the same alternate universe in which Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, and their MCU live action is Fantastic Four First Steps. Perhaps the Fantastic Four reboot will even debut the Oscar winner's new villain in 2025 to tease his rivalry with Reed Richards, who's played by Pedro Pascal, who's, the Mandalorian. Is there an Iron Man 4? So that kind of clears up what he's doing. So he's not, according to this, let's one more time. According to this, he's not going to be a Tony Stark variant. This is an actual full-blown cast. They're recasting RDJ, but he is a completely different, has no
different
right?
character. He's a different character. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from it. So, okay. Now, is there an Iron Man 4? So that would kind of be a dumb question after what we just read, right? Well, let's find out. Speaking to ABC's Nightline via Entertainment Weekly, which is a trustworthy trade, during a Captain America Civil War set visit, RDJ once said, quote, "I feel like I could do one more," end quote, to the prospect of returning for Iron Man 4. During an interview with the French magazine Premiere via Screen Rant, Iron Man 3 director Shane Black discussed his approach to developing the third part of a franchise, asking the question, what remains to tell the story? Meaning, like, what else do we need to tell? And then he goes on and says, quote, "It is always complicated to deal with a third part. Your job is first to answer this question." So that would be third part. So that would be Iron Man 4. Answer this question. What remains to tell this story? The challenge is that your film is not just a new episode of the adventures of Iron Man like the previous three, but the continuation of something new. A new chapter had to be told. Black added that while he felt the threequel concluded a trilogy, that's quote, end quote, he also felt like he was, quote, leaving the door open to a fourth, end quote. Didn't that sound like the last guy we just talked about? It's like they want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, right? I mean, I sat in the panel at San Diego, and someone did that as their response. There may or may not be happen in the future, in the near coming future, or something like that, where they left like some generic blank answer that didn't really answer anything. But
right.
It's like don't give up your hopes, but it might not happen, but it could happen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's funny. All right, let me end it out and we'll get into the list. Okay, so Black added while he felt the threequel concluded a trilogy and also felt like leaving the door open to a 4. So whatever, we just covered that. This is the problem that I had felt with Lethal Weapon 3 and 4. Great comparison. Happened in the 4th. One felt that had nothing to tell, meaning one had nothing to do with the other, I guess. The film was more like an episode of a TV series. I have the feeling that the story that we have developed for Iron Man 3 actually concluded a trilogy, while leaving the door open to a 4th. Ooh, that's interesting. But that may no longer be the case, as the next chapters of Iron Man saga were told through his appearances in Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, and 3 more Avengers movies that culminated in his death. As of writing, there is no official word on Iron Man 4, but RDJ finally back in the Marvel Studios deck of cards could be one on the horizon, okay? Now, it goes on with a theory. I won't get into that, but I want to bring this to the attention before we move on. So there's news this week, and it is a rehashed rumor, but there was actually some more fluff to it that they are still trying. The MCU is trying to get Tom Cruise back here to play Superior Iron Man for Secret Wars. Okay. You got Superior Doctor Doom, which would be the Iron Man iron suit. If they go that way, might not go that way. They could go just with, this is Victor Von Doom. He has nothing to do with Tony Stark. It's not a Tony Stark variant. Maybe Tom Cruise will be that new Tony Stark, and then they can open the next trilogy for the Iron Mans. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think that was a pretty cool story. I'm glad that we covered it. We do have one more, and it'll go quick, and it does tie into our list. What up?
Before we move on.
Yeah, can you grab the chat for me? Sorry.
Yeah, we had a question from Left Arrows.
What up, dude?
Or Left Arrows. Does this all but confirm an MCU cataclysmic reboot with Secret Wars?
Guys, you need to be picking up those Cataclysm, the Ultimates, Last Stand issue 3, even the regular covers, or those 1 in 30s if you can find them. First Miles and the 616, those are sleepers right now. But yeah, I mean, that's a good question. let's see, bring it back up. Does this all but confirm an MCU Cataclysm reboot with Secret Wars? I mean, I don't know if it all but confirms, but it's definitely on the right path. That's what it sounds like to me. Doc Joe's in
But
the house. Well, go
at
ahead.
the
Sorry.
but at the same time, like, I mean, it's not unusual for, I guess, like, if you look in the grand scheme of things of like Fox and MCU, like, that actors have been recast as different characters as well. It just hasn't been on the scale, right?
Right.
Of such a big actor, or like one of the lead actors, right? Like, I mean, like, you could probably say Captain America would probably be another one.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yep.
But I mean, like, but that was over, I guess, a time period, right? This is
Right.
like kind of like, I would still say that Robert Downey Jr. is like real still. I mean,
Still
even though it's
fresh.
still fresh,
Yeah.
I mean, fresh in our minds, but even though it's probably been like what, 5 years?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's been actually 5 years. Good call.
yeah, and then I guess it relates to Doc Joe's comment too, that it seems overblown.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Doc Joe is definitely. Where is he at? Right here. Honestly, this whole RDJ stuff is a bit overblown, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it is a little bit overblown. I think the lack of there wasn't that many announcements at Hall H. There was just a couple of huge ones, right?
Right. I mean, I remember hearing this. I mean, it was kind of electrifying there to hear that announcement and stuff like that. I mean, I wasn't at Hall H when this happened, but like just seeing like the tweets and then the response, and then like it spread like fire throughout the con of everyone talking about it, you know, and just hearing the wild, I mean, not wild theories, just but hearing theories of everyone's opinion of what's going to happen next. But I mean, you also haven't had Hall H in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of, you know, for back of letter terms, like it probably started a forest fire of just like, you know, excitement in the comic community again. Like it definitely like has been lacking that kind of excitement again.
I guess you could say I like that comment because I want to play devil's advocate. So I guess from devil's advocate point of view, based on what Aaron just said, they could be skating on thin ice. Maybe they are worried based on they know the numbers that came back with phase 4 and a lot of phase 5, or part of phase 5, I should say. You know, so maybe they said, hey, let's put this out here. This is huge. I mean, you don't have to be old school to realize this was a huge announcement. And then we just wait for everything with D23 or D24, whatever everybody's calling it. So,
well, and then you also had what was it? Like you had Deadpool Wolverine releasing that same week as well. So you're like hitting back-to-back high points, right? The excitement of a MCU movie, like, you know, the first one we've seen in whatever time period until the next one. So,
and I think that was kind of like my point. My point is that I think they were really like you and I have been saying it for months now, if not years, that the MCUs have been hedging their money on this Deadpool Wolverine. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And you know, for it to the perfect storm of it being released the week of San Diego Comic-Con 2024 and Hall H returning after a 2.5 year hiatus. You know, you get that movie and then you get this huge announcement. Let's see how everybody reacts. And then whatever they have in their back pocket that they were kind of like bearish to announce during San Diego Comic-Con, they will wait, keep it on a gray part of the board and see if we announce it at D24, D23 or whatever. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, makes sense.
So they got a really good response with this one. I agree with Doc Joe and Aaron and a lot of people. It is a little bit overblown, but the fact is that it is a pretty huge announcement. There's no way ands or buts about that. So hopefully I cleared some of this up. I'm sure there's a lot of questions to be asked. Lefteros goes on and says, I'm more confident in the MCU's near future now than I was before the Russo and RDJ announcements. Cool. All right, guys, here is our last story. This is from Cosmic Marvel. This was a quote tweet, but the guy didn't actually quote tweet it, which I thought was really weird. But This was on Daniel RPK's. I subscribe to his site. I pay the $1.99 Patreon, and this was on there. It says Marvel Studios X-Men reboot film will reportedly feature Gambit and Kitty Pryde. This dropped yesterday afternoon, 1:29 Pacific Standard Time. So take that what you will. It's coming from Daniel RPK, being cross-tweeted or quote tweeted by Cosmic Marvel, that the X-Men, the mutant reboot film, will have Gambit and Kitty Pryde. I actually thought what's his name was good I better not say that because the spoilers are kind of over. But yeah. But anyways, all right, guys.
I think it's been memed on the internet. So I think people,
yeah.
I think people like kind of know at this point, or if they haven't seen it, like sorry.
Yeah. Hey guys, I appreciate. I'm not ignoring you in the chat. Aaron's going to handle the chat for us tonight. I appreciate you, Aaron. Love you, brother. All right, let's go. Let's get into Buy the Dip. This is episode 30, and we are going to go over 7 key comics down in value, 2 honorable mentions, and Aaron and I's list that we write each week of the top 5 collectible key issue comics down in value. And we'll let you know if we think it's a good time to pull the trigger or not, the best way we know how. So let's get into this. First, I want to go ahead and give a shout out to my boy, Ben Stein, at the House of Stein YouTube channel, home of the original Hot 10 Comic Show, brought to you by the one and only Ben Stein. He writes 4 lists over there. We got something going on. We have an unbelievable crew, great chemistry. Our team leader, Bryan McClay from Beyond Wednesdays, he just makes everything so much easier for all of us. So make sure you guys are subbed up to the House of Stein, where we have the original Hot 10 Comic Show every Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Honorable mentions from last week's show. We're looking at Vanguard Illustrated, issue number 2, the Dave Stevens Space Girl cover. Pacific Comics, 1984 Copper Age book. We're looking at this book specifically in a CGC 98, Aaron. What is going on here?
Yeah, so a CGC 98 recently had a low sell of $175. It has a 30-day average of 215, and it's down about 43%. So
yeah.
So is this the, I guess the burst of the Dave Stevens bubble? Like, has that popped? Is that what we're kind of seeing, or is it more of the, oh, I had so many Dave Stevens books and now I'm getting them graded and now I've flooded the market? Like, I don't know which one we're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to tell.
We talked about this same thing on Friday, right? So,
right.
So yeah, I did actually give a little thought over the weekend about what you were saying, and went back and checked the data. There was just so many sales last year, especially during the peak.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just hard for me as of right now, based on the data, it's hard for me to tell if the latter part of your comment is the case, meaning that, hey, everybody caught up, got their CGC 98s, and let's flood the market. I would go and say, I'm new to Dave Stevens. I mean, I've always known who he was, but I wasn't really interested in any of his stuff up until Bryan started talking about it a lot. And then, I got my toes wet a little bit more. This is definitely one of the covers that I'm looking at. And what I was saying on Friday, which could be a yay or a nay, I don't know. Cause like I said, I'm new to Dave Stevens. Will there be another, like Aaron was saying, will there be another Dave Stevens rush? And if there will be another Dave Stevens rush, I think this cover could be on the forefront of sought after. But the question is, will there be another Dave Stevens rush? I believe, was it you that said it, Aaron, or was it Ben that said that maybe he could pull a Michael Turner, and like how Aspen is just continuously putting out like all the stuff he never released?
I think that was Stein.
Okay, Stein. Yeah, I thought that was a good comment. That was actually strong. That was strong.
Right. I mean, I know he doesn't have a whole bunch of bodies of work like a lot of other artists, like, because he was such a perfectionist on his final product, right? so I don't know what survived, or if he has like kind of like what Turner had, right? Just like kind of outline sketches of like certain positions that he liked to use that that artists like build on in his style, like or
Interesting.
within his art studio or whatever. Because I mean, like like obviously Turner had never drawn Miles Morales before,
Okay.
but there's that Miles cover from Michael
Right.
Turner.
From the Spider-Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean
that
that's I mean that could end up being a bigger discussion and stuff
yeah,
like that.
that might be a Pandora's box right there. But
Yeah, but
that's I think that's for Beyond Wednesdays. But
yeah,
hey, you know what though? I mean, you got to bring it up. It's
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 a
definitely a
valid. It's
possibility. It's
yeah,
a
I mean it's a
valid.
valid question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I so I don't know what exists within the this Dave Stevens, you know, vault, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
But
Good call. Good call.
but I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people in the chat are saying that it could people could be have moved to the next big thing or whatever. Um, but it's always it seems to always be hard to tell like when that happens, right? Like it just
Igor saying that I think maybe he's kind of onto what you're trying to finish here. So he says the masses that were hunting this nonstop, who always willing to wait for best deal, just kind of give up for now because there's something new and more popular in the works that everybody wants. And I get that. We do have short memories, especially a new comic book day every single Wednesday. I get that. But you want to finish what you were saying?
yeah that yeah.
There's some other Dave Stevens books we're going to cover. There's a lot of them that are down. There's some of them that are up right now, but there will probably most likely we will be covering Dave Stevens along with Michael Turner covers on this show, and I will be watching them. So Timothy Brand says Stevens books have a new floor, but they have come down. Yeah. And I wanted to add, I'm glad you said that, Tim. Very strong comment. So I pulled the data all the way, and I went to YouTube channels. I went to Screen Rant, CBR, and I found the archives of the massive Dave Stevens marketing or promotion that was done over the last 18 months. And yeah, it does look like there is a strong dissension. It's not like, okay, and here's an up, and then here up. No, it's gradually going down like this. So why I'm saying that is just based on the last comment of saying, hey, you know what, I could see these continuously going down, but then when is the right time to pull the trigger? Because if there ends up being another Dave Stevens release that gets this thing on fire or some more news, it might be too late.
Or just wait till the foil treatments of all the covers.
Yeah, that too. So
yeah. Well, I mean, but you have to also remember with the documentary that it had 2 releases, like because it was originally released to the people that backed the Kickstarter, and then it had public release basically like on Amazon or whatever. So
call.
I mean, I don't know if that kind of lines up to the 2 spikes that you were seeing, but it would make sense to me. Like, or even if it's within that same time period.
No, I was saying I didn't see the 2 spikes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just going like that.
So. Okay. Oh, so it's like a steady decline.
But still, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, that's kind of like what I don't like to see, especially if it goes over like 6-month period. But yeah. All of a sudden it's like leveling out right now.
I think in comics it's always scary to see that volatile market, right? That a book like shoots up and then and then like either steadily declines or just like crashes. Like
good call.
I mean, I guess it's technically good for the person that sold it or whatever, but like at the same time, it's overall in the long term run, it's not good for a hobby, right?
No,
like, you like to see like healthy charts where it's like it's
trending,
trending
slowly gaining equity, right.
That just doesn't spike up out of nowhere.
Based on the hype. Yeah. So
because it never lasts, or it's not as rare as people think.
like you say, you always say organic. That's like perfect right there.
Right.
Organic, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, guys, let's get to the next honorable mention book from last week's original Hot 10 comic show, brought to you by the one and only Benjamin Stein on the House of Stein YouTube channel. We're looking at Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8, specifically in a newsstand, graded by CGC in a 9.8. There are no CBCSs in here or PGXs, EGS, even though I like EGS. I think they're an up-and-comer, by the way. But anyways, yeah, since the last time we reported on this book in newsstand, we reported on this book in direct, we reported on this book in Canadian price variant, and now we're back to newsstand. What is happening here, Aaron?
Yeah, so CGC 8, the CGC 9.8 just recently had a low sell of $800. It has a 30-day average of $880, and it's down 50%. I can't read today, apparently.
It's okay. Welcome to my world. Yeah, so the last time we reported on the newsstands, we reported on direct, and I added the newsstand tag on there. I believe it was on Ben's show as well. We were up way above this. We're looking at in newsstand, not Canadian price variant, which is a 95-cent tag, but in a specific newsstand, 9.8, down 50% from this time last year. This book was selling between $1,400 to $2,000. I would say an average of about $1,700 pretty easily this time last year, into a few months after, and it starts gradually going down. But then a few more spikes when we got some news about Secret Wars. Like we were talking about before, I actually saw those spikes with this book. Now, recently, in the last 30-day average, multiple sales. The investors know they're watching this book because they are grabbing this book for $800 to $880 in the CGC 9.8.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I wish I didn't sell all my copies, but yeah, I think I'll be definitely like kind of hunting for this. Like, I love buying like 9.0 copies to 9.6s or whatever, and then taking that gamble. Like, I've bought a 9.2 for like back in the day for like $60, and then I CPR'd it. Like, actually, I got it auto too, but
Nice.
like
By Zek?
Yes, that was the first person to get it. So because at the time I had a 9.2 and a 9.6, and I was like, well, do I take my 9.6 and then like assume that I'll still get the same grade, or do I take the risk because I have such low money into the 9.2, and no matter what, like knowing that like adding remarks and autos will like add value to it anyways, that to go ahead and get that CPR too as well. And so I was like, I took the gamble for the CPR to the 9.2, and it bumped it up to a 9.6. And then after I got it remarked by John Beatty and got it signed by Jim Shooter to make it the complete 3 times signed and 2 times remarked, it maintained that 9.6 grade.
Nice.
So
wow, and they all handled it too. That's awesome.
Yeah, all 3 of them handled it. So, and 2 times remarked. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the days 2017, 18, and into 19. You could get these raw high grade for $60 to $80, $75 all day. But now raw copies they're around $100, but they're tough. They're tough and high grade. And yeah, I mean, this picture right here, I got this photo right here from an eBay seller. This was he sold this. I got it from 130 Point. I followed the sale, and I wanted to make sure, okay, it's a crappy photo. I mean, it had a spine roll. The guy marked it as VF, but I went back. A case in point is I kept going down and looking at these newsstands. I'm like, man, I don't see any near mint copies on here. And, I don't know. It's just, I think with this kind of book is just like Aaron does. It might be better to get that lower grade and this is a great book to get marked, signed, remarked, sketched on, you name it. Because there's plenty of them out there. There's plenty.
Oh, here's a good tip from Blind Adam. The Typos 2-pack, they're
the Typos 2-pack, is it 2-pack or 2-pack?
I think he missed 2-pack of this. is undervalued and underappreciated. The Secret Wars toy is the 2-packs with the comic. Some of the those are ghosts.
Nice. Didn't know that. Interesting.
Oh,
Cornbread.
it's probably like those like Marvel Legends action or Toy Biz,
Gotcha.
where it has that like not for resale.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome comment. Awesome sauce radio. Adam, make sure you guys are subbed up to his YouTube channel. Planet Arizona Comics says Zek is an artist that's due for a pop in value. Totally agree. He did some classic covers back in the 80s. 100%. He's got some iconics under his belt too. So.
Oh yeah, definitely G.I. Joe. What else?
Web of Spider-Man.
Yeah, like all kinds of stuff. And,
I mean,
and then,
this cover.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this cover. I mean, I would definitely put this at the top of his list.
Did he do number one? Cover number one? He did, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think they did a lot of those covers for the original Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars storyline. So yeah, they did number one together because yeah.
All right, guys, that was last week's Buy the Dip shortlist, brought to you by the one and only House of Stein YouTube channel. Let's get into this week's Buy the Dip, episode 30.1's top 5 lists, key issue collectible comics that are down in value that could or could not be the time to buy. Let's go. Number 5. We're looking at The Punisher, issue 218, specifically the Tim Bradshaw non-lenticular second print. Marvel Legacy cover, low print run. We're looking at raw, high-grade copies. Now, I put this at number 5. I told Aaron backstage the reason why I put it at 5 was because, you know, it's not really down in value, but there were a couple sales I wanted to report. And this is why it is so important to put this book on your watch list or any of these books that we talk about that you decide might be a good reason to buy, or you're waiting on the price point. And there was a sale for $76, a sale for $81, and that's plus shipping from Canada. But it does have a 30-day average of 145, which is pretty pricey. It's only down 20%, which is pretty much market standard right now for books that aren't hyped for sought-after low print key issues. So it's nothing like real big, but I did want to mention those 2 sales and report on that. I love this book. What do you think about this, Aaron?
Oh man, this is absolutely one of my favorite books to have. I've had multiple copies. You know, I bought them when no one cared for like $10. When they got, when people were excited about this, I definitely sold an extra copy I had. Probably about the average, what the average price was, maybe a little bit below that, more than this low pricing you're seeing now, but. Yeah, I mean, you know, Marvel Legacy definitely missed on the lenticular part of these covers, and so these non-lenticulars did. I thought they were excellent, like because you see the modern updated homage instead of the like the lenticulars where you see the original. And then you also have Punisher in the War Machine armor. Like, what else could you want?
Get that cameo, you get that last page splash, and then you get them on the cover as well. Shout out to our boy, Mr. Longshore. Make sure you guys are watching the show every Thursday where he talks about ghost books, ghost comics, and really sought after stuff that's forgotten about or you don't know about. It's called Long Story Short, every Thursday night on the Nearing Nirvana YouTube channel. He always says, cameo and cover, market favorite, market delight, cameo and cover. And that's what you have here. I personally think 219 is a good play because it's way down in value. Not really talked about. The Comicron cuts those orders by almost like 66%, going from a book that's like, 75, 80K, something like maybe 85K on 218 to 219 and just under 20. But I want to get to this question here. John Horn says, how sure are you that they only print 1 in 25 for every regular book printed? Unless you work for the print house or the distribution, no one's sure. All we do is go by the numbers, and the math states if they're going to call it a 1 in 25 ratio. This isn't a 1 in 25. This is just a second print. But if they're going to call for a 1 in 25 ratio, that gives you a 4% estimated cap on that. I shouldn't say cap. I should say about 4% of whatever the estimated retailer orders are. If it's a 1 in 100, it's 1%. If it's a 1 in 50, it's 2%, and you follow accordingly. You just don't have a bottom line number based on the print runs and estimated orders. And this is what we talk about all the time when we talk about oversight, right? We want to have some kind of oversight that could actually, give us that bottom line, could actually give us those accurate print run numbers. But unfortunately, comic speculation has been big for at least what we do for 15 years now, and it's still not happening. So I don't know. But some really good, interesting comments in the chat. Everybody's saying what's up to Ferd. Appreciate you, Ferd.
Yeah, I saw this one from Leftovers.
Left is saying, I ordered 5 copies of the lenticular variant, and the shop messaged me, told me they had was the second print. I said in all caps, sure, no problem. LOL.
That's awesome.
I would have been like, well, since you're bending my arm. Good call, brother. Good call. Timothy Brandt says, can't wait to see Frank get a suit. Oh, yeah, man. Ooh, I get chills thinking about it. Left continues, says they do not. Yeah, okay. And he's on the same page as us. High Voltage Mark, what up, man? Good seeing you. Yes, they do print more for damages, and every publisher prints a little different, right? So depending on if it's a retailer exclusive variant and it's one retailer, they could order 10% more. Another one could order 20% more, right? Isn't that what they do?
I mean, and then you also wouldn't see comics showing up in like Walmart packs.
Right. Good call. And Aaron was showing some Walmart packs on his SDCC road trip, and I spotted he just flew boom, and I spotted 2 1 in 25s that were in the front.
The funny part was, like, I was even talking to Bryan, and I was like, I don't know if any of these are incentives, like, or not. Like, I was like, it would be good to know. As we were flipping through these, I was like, do you recognize any of these?
Left goes on and says, comic books are printed by the case. This includes incentives. And then he continues by saying even 1 in 1,000s.
Yeah, I figured it was done by the spool, like spools of paper.
John Horn continues, says, it just seems like a lot of ratios show up in Walmart. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Lord of Brooklyn, what up, man? Righteous Flipper hordes of thousands of key comics. Keys for everyone. Derek Neiman says, right, you're a congressman, Richie. All right. And Timothy Brandt, a little behind. Okay, you got the photo cover? Okay, good. You're not behind. You're a good man. Hey, what up, man? Glad to see you, Mark. All right. So anything else you wanted to add to this, Aaron?
I looked through my books recently, and I saw all my second prints. Like, I have a full set
of the legacies,
of the Marvel Legacies, and I'm like, kind of like, all right, do I take all these and grade them now? Like,
yeah, for sure. Good call. All right, guys, let's go. Number 4. We're looking at the Silver Surfer, issue number 3, specifically in a CGC 9090, which is very fine near mint. This is from Marvel 1968, Silver Surfer Volume 1. This is your first appearance, first cover, and partial origin of Mephisto. We're looking at this book in a CGC 90. I'm looking for price points. Not 90 isn't the most, isn't like you wake up in the morning and go, I hope I can find a 90 Silver Surfer. I'm looking for price points that have dropped, maybe giving you guys a good deal. And this was the best price point that I found today. So here we go. This book is just sold on a low in a CGC 90 at $1,100. The 6-month average is $2 shy of $1,300. This new average is down 28% from this time last year. Aaron, first of all, do you own this? Second of all, if you don't, is this one that's on your hunt list? And third of all, if it is this the price point you're looking at for a 90?
Okay, I don't own this book. It's kind of on my radar, but I think I would be more after like Silver Surfer 1 or 4, or maybe even like trying to like stumble upon a locker collection, right? And find the whole set. Oh, Ryan owns one now. Okay, so I know someone in Houston that has one now. Uh and um like, would I buy it in the sense that like I think Mephisto's going to show up in the MCU or just anything or Disney Plus or whatever? Like, I wouldn't buy it for that reason.
Yeah.
Like Silver Surfer is one of my favorite characters. I buy it for that kind of reason.
So this is the kind of book that is like, it don't matter if
Yeah,
this
like
book comes
like
or not. I want it in my collection.
yeah, it's more of like I would buy this like more of a PC buy than I would
Definitely a
buy.
grail. Definitely a grail.
Yeah, more than a more than as an investment book.
Give me 1 second. I gotta let my.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, personally, like I wouldn't buy it in that sense as an investment point, but I mean, it's good to see like when a good window opportunity is to buy this book. Like, so so I like how you presented it that way, that like in this grade this is your buy-in point. Like, I mean, at $1,000 for a 9.0 for this age of a book, like that doesn't seem unappealing.
Yeah, and it is square bound.
Yeah, so I mean, so that I mean, just even in the stance of like, oh, if I want a 9.0 of this book, this seems like a good buy.
Yeah, I have to agree. Planet AZ, what up, man? He says it's a thick book too. Took me like an hour to read it. Awesome. Left says Silver Surfer 3 is one of my favorite comics of all time. The cover, the interior art, and the story is so good. Hell yeah. And of course, Mikey Cat says he loves the Surfer. No, I'm kidding. All right. Yeah, for me, I think right now is a good time to if you're looking for this grade. I think 1,300 and 1,100. So we're looking at about as a low 1,100. The next lowest will give you an example of how close this was 1,155. So I think honestly, I think $1,200 is a good 12 right even middle. I think if you have the money, it might be a good time to buy. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. Obviously, we're early on the Mephisto. We've heard so much smoke about the live action, and I know, like Aaron was saying, I 100% agree with him. 100% agree with him. This is the kind of book I don't give a shit if it come into MCU or not. Got to have my collection, but hey, you know what? I'm still keeping my open mind to find out if I can get a little flip and get a little bit of better grade. So when it comes to that aspect, the hype aspect from rumors or what have you, it might be a good time to buy this because this in a 9.0 was very expensive during the pandemic, and then after the pandemic was still pretty expensive with some spikes. But it's a tough book and high grade too. That square bound right there with that white on the outside is, since it is from 68, so 40, 50, 56 years ago is probably very thin. So find a good presser that knows how to press square bounds and is delicate, has a light hand.
How do we know we haven't seen Mephisto already?
Good call. Right? Yeah, like the scrolls, right? Could be shapeshifted. But Left says, FYI, pretty sure there's also a first cover appearance of Shala Ball. Yeah, I think that's her right there. He has her right there in his hand, right? Nice. But Shala first appears, I believe, in Silver Surfer 1, and then she's on the cover on this one as well. But we're looking at the Mephisto cover, so. But it's good to know that. And then Left Arrow says, spoilers, Mephisto tells Silver Surfer that he must destroy him because as long as he is alive, his own existence is in jeopardy. There was a book we just talked about on the Hot 10 that just got hot. It was Annihilation 2099. I want to say issue 4. It's a new Silver Surfer, and I said I love the character, but he has a weird head. And a lot of people were calling it a grift, double grift, so on and so on. But Paul Woods 1 in 25. Well, that particular Silver Surfer actually is the herald of Mephisto. I think that's pretty interesting. Very cool. Very cool.
So on this comment where there was a couple of 4K sales for a 9.0 in 2021, that was the rumor time of when Mephisto was supposed to show up in like what Captain and Falcon.
That was WandaVision and and beyond.
Yeah, or whatever. So
and it was Pride Pandemic too.
Yeah, so I mean, like you had two perfect storms of why that book got shot up like it did instead of growing organically.
Market cataclysm.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Great comments. Thank you guys. Really appreciate you joining in the live chat. You guys are freaking awesome, man. Number 3. We're looking at Captain N as a Nintendo, the Game Master, issue number 1, released by Acclaim and Valiant in January of 1999. This is SPEC Media's Good Play. First U.S. comic appearance of Captain N, Kevin Keene, Princess Lana, Duke the Dog, Metroid, the Samus Aran of Metroid, Kid Icarus, Mother Brain, King Hippo, Little Mac from Punch Out and King Hippo, Uranus. I always say that. Uranus. Eggplant Wizard, and the Nintendo Entertainment System, Zapper, along with the Super Power Pad. Multiple reasons why I think this is a good play. I shout out to my boy, our boy, I should say, Furbird the Nerd, who reports on video game collecting, which is a whole different genre. But this is definitely one I'm keeping my eye on due to the fact that there's only 45 CGC 9.8s in the census and only 79 6s. Must be a tough book in high grade, or just people are just sleeping on this book. Looking at a low of $315 with a 12-month average of $345. That is down 26% from around this time last year. What do you think about this play, Aaron?
Oh man, and big shout out to Vinny too as well. I like this play, especially since we saw what Mario has done in the market, like not only with like sealed video games, but also with the the Valiant comics and all that. To me, the most attractive name in that list of first appearances is the Samus, the first appearance of Metroid. I think I think any of those classic. I mean, like, but you listed off like tons of nostalgia titles too as well that people love. So I think that
nostalgia big time.
The nostalgia, like if any one of those video games popped as well, then this book is in the gold, right? Especially since it's hard to find, or at least it's like there's not a ton of high grades out there. Maybe it's just like not enough people have graded them, but like at the same time, like because of all these first appearances, you think there'd be more graded.
Yeah, good call. Strong points there. Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that there was 47 9.8s, and I go, okay, there must be a ton of like 8.5 to 9.6s, right? And not much.
Yeah.
So that yellow must be pretty tough. You got to imagine not a lot of collectors were like, getting this, right? I mean, you got to imagine a lot of kids were grabbing this.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also
non-collectors, non-speculators, I should say.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have you don't have Metroid on the cover, so that probably could hurt.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Compared to the Marios and stuff like that, Mario books. Yeah.
We got some interesting comments. Timothy Brown says he could be hiding in plain. Oh, he's talking about Mephisto. Okay. Here, they're continuously talking about the MCU. I love it. Heroes Reborn Comics says with Midnight Suns confirmed by Feige, it may be a safe bet to speculate his appearance. Talking about Mephisto, or at the very least mention that in the series. And then he continues by saying, sorry for the late Mephisto comment. No worries, man. I appreciate you. A lot of people are behind too, so I get it. I try to address it. If I don't, Aaron will, if it's interesting. So Not that your comment's not non-interesting. I'm just saying, once we're in the mode, we're in the mode. Timothy Brown says Agatha coming in September. Maybe he shows there? Question mark. Interesting theory. I like it. Derek Neiman said, "Is he holding a duck hunt gun?" I think so.
The NES Zapper.
That's the NES Zapper. That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I will definitely be. Obviously, I'm not going to be buying comics right now like this, but once my money gets better, I'd definitely be looking for this. So, all right. Let's go and move on. Well, let me hit this comment first. Awesome Sauce says, "What's this about eggplant and games? What is this? Porno?" I think he means to say porno, but he says porno. Okay. All right, let's go. Number 2. What? Another Punisher 218? We're looking at the Netflix photo cover. John Bernthal on the front. Very classic cover. I had to report this. This has been on By the Dip, House of Stein, and here. This book is down again, guys. Low $50, and I'm telling you, there are multiple sales of $50. We are looking at raw, high grade, near mint minus or better copies. A 30-day average fair market value is $72 US, down 50%. Aaron, wow,
crazy. Didn't he just do a signing too?
Not sure if he did a signing, but this is definitely my favorite cover of all of them. But I just honestly, I think that if you're speculating, it's kind of tough. Like, if you can only choose that second print lenticular, right? Or you're gonna, everybody has cover A, right? So you want something special, and you're not going to buy all the variants. Are you putting your money behind the Punisher Netflix with Bernthal on the front, or are you putting your money behind the actual character on the cover and a very low print run? That's what I'm wondering. What are you doing, Aaron?
Probably the low print run cover and stuff like that.
Even though it's like a 63% markup versus this one, close to about 60%.
Oh.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. I can see why we had a little bit of crickets there. I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I don't know. I think right now is the time to buy this book. I think if you are looking at this book, this is the time. It's $50. I saw multiple sales for $50, and all the rest of them were like between $70 and $79.99. So this is the lowest I've seen this book raw in a long time.
Could people also get that nostalgia too over Punisher over time?
Netflix series nostalgia, yeah. And it'd be funny. I know this isn't a Mike Zeck cover, but honestly, it kind of reminds me of those Punisher Netflix covers. I mean, not Punisher Mike Zeck covers from the past. But I love this cover. I personally, it would be tough for me, but for the money, I'm putting my money behind this one right now. If I have the scratch, I'm definitely going to grab both of those. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, the Netflix covers seem to be like those sleeper covers that always like kind of like cycle back every so often. So those could be like good plays.
King of the Golden State in the house. Appreciate you, brother. He says, I like this cover, but when it comes to Punisher photo covers, I prefer the Dolph Lundgren Marvel Age cover. Interesting. I think I'd rather have this one.
I have a question. So what's this duck hunt everyone keeps on talking about in the chat? Never heard of it.
Duck Hunt? You don't know what Duck Hunt is from joking. Nintendo, bro?
I had a Nintendo growing up.
Oh my god, it was one of the funnest things. Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Kung Fu, Double Dribble, Tecmo Bowl.
I didn't know you can move around the duck like with the second controller. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I was just like, I was a kid and I was just trying to shoot the screen. And every time you miss, you get the, the light.
Yeah.
Funhouse says the Daredevil 1 is a ghost. I picked that up from McClay's Whatnot sale a while back. It's up to almost $200 now raw. Interesting. Cool. Yeah, that 1 in 10 has always been a pretty big book. I mean, I remember when we were with Flipside, we caught it right before it was like $50, right? And then we had it on spec 10. It went up to 100 or something, and then it went back down. Then the pandemic took over. All the news took over as well. Now it's like a huge book.
No.
But interesting. All right, guys. Wow, we have more comments. Let's get to those comments before we move to number one. John Horn says photo cover gets my vote. Planet AZ says might want to wait for an auction and see if I can score one cheap. I mean, $50 is pretty cheap, brother. And I'm telling you, I saw a lot of Benner BOs go for $50, $49.99, $49.99, $49.99. The couple auctions I found were like 70. There was 168. And there was one that was like one that sold for like 123, and that brought the average up from like $60 to like 72. Tons of sales too.
Well, what you could do too is like watch a bunch of those $50 ones and see if they throw out offers.
Yeah. There you go. Derek Neiman says legend has it the dog is still laughing at Richie to this day. Ooh, don't know which dog. Awesome Sauce Radio, the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren, Lundgren is just an amazing piece of comic book history. Do not really realize there's a subtle variant for that adaptation. Interesting. Yeah, and I believe King of the Golden State was saying it sells pretty well too. Igor is lolling. Constantino, what up, man? Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. He says, hey, boys, late to the show. No worries, man. I appreciate you joining us. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Timothy Brown says, I picked up this photo cover of my LCS when it dropped for $9.99. His signed CGC 9A copies were going for $1K when he was showing up as Frank doing things in the MCU. Interesting.
You're talking about the dog in Duck Hunt when it laughs at you when you miss.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thought you didn't know. What friggin' fooler. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. That is the list. We have one more book to cover. We've already covered it, but I had to bring it to the forefront. Not based solely. Obviously, we're looking at numbers, but I want to bring this up to the stage. Cosmic Marvel, in case you're late to the show. This is a via Daniel RPK quote tweet and or in his Patreon. You can subscribe to his Patreon. It's like $2 a month, and he gives you all these scoops, insights. He's saying Marvel Studios' X-Men reboot film will reportedly feature Gambit and Kitty Pryde. So with that said, let's get into this week's number one book on Buy the Dip, episode 30.1. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Number one, down in value, key issue comic to think about. Let's go. We're looking at The Uncanny X-Men, issue number 129, specifically direct in a CGC 9/8. Okay, first appearance Kitty Pryde, first appearance Aaron Frost, first appearance of Sebastian, whatever his name in the shadows. As just goes on. I would even say, are we calling this cover iconic or is this classic? Classic cover.
Classic
cover.
Probably like approaching iconic. You know what I mean? Like you have John Byrne working on this. Like this is right before like what the or this is this the start of the Dark Phoenix story arc?
Interesting. I actually I can't tell you offhand. I probably should have looked for that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like within that run, right? From like 129 all the way to let's say like 138 or 140 or whatever. So I like books within this run. Like this is the height of John Byrne. Like, yeah, it's definitely a classic cover. I think there's more iconic covers within that run than this one. I'll say that.
Awesome Sauce Radio says this is a great book for signature series, as he does. Oh, mate, that was the last book. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, I interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
it is the start of the arc. That's what Planet AZ is saying. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I mean, classic X-Men story, like, definitely like should be in any X-Men collector's like collection, anyways. Hunting for those high grades is definitely going to be tough. And then you have like first appearance of like characters that are still used, right? Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost. Like like from this point on, like they're they're major characters at this point.
Yeah, good call, Derek. I remember too. This was one of the first books I remember peaking during the pandemic, and we were like going, "Whoa!" So let's look at the numbers. We're looking at this book. It is in a early direct from 1980. Just not a lot of directs out there, to be honest with you. But this did have a massive print run, so I can tell you about that later here. It should say in the book too, but I can show you guys. Anyways. CGC 9A for the first Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost, and we are calling this a classic X-Men cover. Left is saying this is the peak of the X-Men classic, in his opinion. And we're looking at this book in a recent low sale of $1,200 in a CGC 9A, a 30-day average value, 1,450 US, down a strong 42% since last reported. Wow. I was telling Aaron backstage when we were going over the slides, and we backstage we always meet up, and he's like, "Yeah, you got this, I got that, yeah." So we just wanted to make sure our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and I was like, we started talking about this book, and it was just totally off the cuff, and I was like, I feel like this book in a CGC 9A should be so much more expensive, but now, and typically, if I'm going to look for like Left is saying, something as classic key and important as this, I would be expecting to pay a lot more. But a 30-day average fair market value at $1,450 US, down 42%, could be the right time to make a move. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I'll definitely be kind of keeping my eye out. Along with all the other chat is saying too, like you have 2 first appearances in this. Like it's hard to top that, right? And it's like
big characters,
yeah, big characters, and it's not like it's like a team up first appearance or anything like that. Which is not like you can't downplay that with an X-Men, like overall with all the different first appearances, like
good point,
like GSX 1 or whatever. But like to have 2 important characters that carry on into modern comics, like yeah, I don't see why not.
Hi, Nathan's in my fantasy baseball league. I think I'm playing him. I don't know who I'm playing, actually. I kind of stopped paying attention. I'm either playing him or Bill. I think I played Bill last week, but yeah, we're playing. We're in the playoffs. We're in the semifinals, and there's 2 other teams. Ken on base, and then this guy Lee. But yeah, it should be a pretty interesting finish. He's playing in a bunch of our fantasy football leagues. We have a bunch of fantasy football leagues going with everybody in the community. It's gonna be an amazing season. I can't wait. We do have 1 spot left, Aaron. So I told you, if you're ever gonna do it, this is the year to do it. I mean, anyways, all right. Timothy Brand says, multiple firsts exactly. And then Planet AZ says, Byrne hated the idea of Phoenix. He thought she made the rest of them of the teams superfluous, which I feel was correct. And he is responding to Lord of Brooklyn's awesome comment by saying, Lord of Brooklyn went on and said before that comment I just read, he said, this was the beginning of the end of the Claremont Byrne team. Byrne didn't agree with where the storyline was going. So that just goes into what Planet AZ said right here. So appreciate you guys bringing that to the forefront. That's awesome. Sebastian Shaw in the shadows as the Black King also appears in here, and that's very true. Start of the Hellfire Club. Unofficial though, right? Unofficial?
No, it is.
It is official. It is the official. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm pretty like
maybe I'm thinking of Marauders. I think I'm thinking of Marauders.
Okay.
Left says this has room when these characters make MCU debuts. Many other X-Men books as well. Prime for traction. 100% agree. And one of the reasons why I brought it up here, on top of the recent news, I just thought the recent news gave it a little more kickstart. But 100% agree. If you are adapting, if you're speculating, investing on live adaptation and or animation with MCU adaptation, this could be your book. One of many, but this should be, in my opinion, on the top of your list. Awesome Sauce says Kitty Pryde isn't Jilf. Kitty Pryde is an amazing testify. I'll shut up now. She is a Jilf. Testify. Left says X-Men typically important to have in 9.8. Readers were keeping books stored properly. Great info. Also, Sauce continues, says, has anyone seen the comic where Emma Frost and Katie Pride use a? Okay, never mind. Derek Neiman, a 98 jewel. Mark, I saw that sale for 17K. At first, I thought it was 1700, and I was like, "Oh my god, am I gonna have to put this in the numbers? This is gonna make the value go way up." And then I saw the Mark Jewelers, and I go, oh, "Okay, 17,000. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Appreciate you, Derek. You're a good man."
Well, so does that mean Mark Jewelers are back up in price then?
Oh, dude, Mark Jewelers are selling pretty well right
Well,
now. I mean, at least on the key issues.
Right, because remember how they had that huge scandal with like books being swapped out and all that. So I guess I guess since that's somewhat been corrected, I guess like it's kind of returned back to normal to your regular scheduled program.
Well, supposedly somebody's saying that on all Mark Jewelers, there's a star on the cover, and that's not correct, because I have plenty of Mark Jewelers that do not have that star on the cover.
The star on the cover only signified that you bought it near a military, or bought it from a military base, right?
Exactly. And I know that like 90% of these were just going to military bases, but there were ones that didn't go to military bases for some reason. Well, and I believe those are the ones without the stars.
Right. Which is common in like the price variance. Like I have the Iron Fist first appearance in a
Marvel
price
Spotlight
15. Yeah, I have that in the Mark Jewelers, and it's just a price variant.
So that's where I was going at with my comment. So I'm glad you said that. And Ryan, great question. So he's asking, based on what we're saying, so can you tell if a book had a Mark Jewelers ad in it without opening the book? So this is what I said on Beyond Wednesdays. It doesn't matter what slab it is, old or new, just flip it onto the bottom right there and look at the centerfold. You can see the centerfold. If you see the insert, you can see the insert inside. You got to use it. Sometimes you might have to, if you have bad eyes, you might have to use your magnifying glass, but you can see the insert inside, and they're different colors as well. If it does not have that, then you got to start questioning. You have to look at it at different angles, but it usually you can see it through a bag and board and or slab.
Well, certain books have the price variant too as well, so you can tell that way.
A price variant?
Yeah, like I was saying, the Iron Fist, the first appearance of Iron Fist, the Mark Jewelers is a price variant compared to like the directs.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is new. Let me see here. I have to double check that.
Like instead of like 20 cents, I think it's like 25 cents or something like that.
Let me see. Mark. Look at my list here. All right. So was that Marvel Spotlight? What is that? 15?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So no, it's Marvel Premiere actually. My bad.
Oh yeah.
Marvel Premiere. Okay. So okay. 25 cents. 20 cent. Now, are you sure this wasn't the time that, because the next book is 25 cents. Are you sure this wasn't the time when they turned to 25 cents?
Yeah, I looked it up somewhere.
Because now you got me. Because I've been collecting these things for so long, and I have never heard that. But I'm definitely interested in finding out if it's true, because that would pique my interest. All right.
Oh wait. And then
okay. And I go to Marvel Premiere. No, regular. I go to regular, and let's see if it's 25 cents. 25 cents. Regular.
Okay. Never mind.
So
maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Sorry, I'm a big Mark Jewelers and Canadian price variant collector, guys, and that like got me kind of like, whoa, like, oh, yeah, I guess I need that book now. But all right, cool. Let's get hit the chat. And was there was something else you were saying, Aaron? Anything else you were saying? I thought you were saying something else, but
no.
Okay. Awesome Sauce says, Ryan, you can tell if there's a Mark Jeweler in the book by touching the book itself. If it feels like there's heavy paper in it somehow in the middle. Yeah, but you got to be pretty experienced for that. I mean, you got to be pretty old school for that, to be honest with you. Like when I was pressing books and like I would mix up cardstock like before I was organized like I am now. I get that. I could feel, and I could also feel if there was an insert inside a book, just like I could feel different cardstocks when pressing books. That's something that is probably not the best advice for people looking for Mark Jewels. I think that until you get to know them, once you get to know them, then yeah, that is great advice by Awesome Sauce. That's the quickest way. But the best way for me is I'm turning the slab to the bottom because I know there's no label on the top there. And I'm looking straight at that centerfold of that book inside the interior pages on the bottom edge. And if I see that that insert, which 9 out of 10 times I do, I'm good to go. If I don't see it or I see it ripped or something weird, I'm definitely going to do my due diligence and see what's going on.
Oh, and someone's asking where the star is. I believe it's in the corner box. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it's in the corner box somewhere.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where. But
I'll post a couple on my IG and I'll tag you on. Who asked it? Is it Jabez?
No, it's
Jabez, what up, man? I'm really glad to see you, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. He says, I actually just heard this. Apparently, the Mark Jewelers were distributed to newsstands near bases, so it's possible the comics were bought off base sometimes too. Yeah, I can see comic book store off base grabbing like a few. Totally. Sorry, go ahead, Aaron. Grab your comment.
Oh, it was just this is who was asking.
Okay. Constantino, I'll post some on my IG. I have 2 in my collection with stars. I'll post them on my IG. I'll tag you, brother. Heroes Reborn Comics says, just like comics that were given to the Marvel's employees had a not for sale stamp. How often do we find those stamps? Interesting. Good question. Let us know in the comments and or live chat. Constantino goes on and says the star on the front of the covers of the actual comic. Yes, it's on the front, but it's very few and far between. I don't see a lot of them. It is a stamp. It's not a set place. You're 100% right about that. Constantino says, can we see an example of the star? Yes, I'll post it on my IG, brother. You got it. And Planet AZ Comic says, Heroes, I never heard of that. I have an NFS stamp on some Star Wars books. Could never figure out why. This makes sense now. Yeah. I appreciate you, Constantino. You're awesome, dude. All right, guys. Do you have anything you wanted to add about Emma Frost, Kitty Pryde, and this book in general? Yeah.
I'm just excited to see what they do with X-Men. In the
too.
MCU, like after like doing the follow up of like Fantastic Four into X-Men. So
yeah, me too. And I think Deadpool Wolverine is a great movie to kick it off, right? I mean, it's 2 mutants.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, I mean, and then that was like, I think Liefeld described it best. He was saying that Wolverine Deadpool was just basically like a love letter to the Fox, to the Fox universe of what they built up.
Absolutely, good call. Ryan says, were only certain books that would have a Mark Jewelers ad, or any book could have in it ad? No, so there was a National Diamond sales insert, and there was also a double ad insert with the Alka-Seltzer, which I have. It's a double insert.
It was during a certain time period.
During certain time periods, it's just promotional that went inside of a book, and these companies paid for the marketing like they would pay for an in-house direct mailer kind of marketing. Rather than send them straight to your house, they made a deal with Marvel Comics and they put it in the Marvel Comics. They were trying to draw in soldiers to buy National Diamonds and or Mark Jewelers jewelry for their loved ones or themselves. So Heroes Reborn Comics says Planet. Okay, he's going on in the chat. Appreciate you. Ryan says what time period? Okay, we can get into that later. Planet AZ Comics Heroes. One of them is 68, the Mandalorian issue. Thanks for this info. Yeah, that's a good call on that one. And then John Horn says, don't forget the pizzazz inserts. Yeah, good call. There's actually a lot of inserts, dude. There's actually a lot of inserts I've recently found out that I've been really interested in Copper Age and in Modern Age books that that are not in all the books, which I really want to make a video about. It's not like a pump or anything. I just thought it was interesting. Maybe like a round table we could have with the live chat and our crew. But and then Heroes Reborn says, feel free to check it out on my Instagram. He's saying he has a Hulk 181 Mark Jewelers signed by Trimp and Lee 60 CGC. Woo, monster. All right, guys, that was By the Dip episode 30. Thank you guys for watching. It is that time of the show where we do pickups, and Aaron's got some beautiful pickups from San Diego Comic-Con along with some mail pickups.
All right. So previous night, I started out by Alex Pardis' booth, and I picked up this Victor, the Spoiled Sports. Up until this point, I hadn't pulled any Victor Wembanyama base rookie cards or silvers or anything like that. So it was just like always random inserts. But to continue on the Mark Jewelers thing, I'm looking on my comic shop. There's this books as early as 38 to like 86. Is that right?
For Mark Jewelers?
Yeah. Mark Jewelers edition.
No, it just says it's just when that that series started.
Okay.
If you look in the middle column, it'll say what issues actually had Mark Jewelers in it. Like, for instance, Action Comics, like you were saying, 1938, 415 to 572 had Mark Jewelers. And if you go into the search bar and you put in National Diamonds, then all the National Diamonds will come up that didn't have Mark Jewelers, and those go a little bit earlier.
Okay. And then I picked up a couple of shirts from yesterday's pins. I thought this was a cool like homage Misfits. This is just a card that they threw in. It's a Spawn 1 homage. Then
I love that. I love that card, Aaron. And then, I love that one too. It's nice.
Yeah, the Misfits, like Big Leg sent me the link beforehand. Before the con started, and I was just like kind of like, oh, that's awesome. Let me go ahead and pre-order this. And like, because I think he was ordering at the same time I was, because our order numbers were sequential. Like when he sent me the link, I bought, and then like I guess.
So like if there was let's say there was 333, you had 331, he had 332, kind of.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because we picked it up at the same time too. Nice. Big shout out to Big Clutch. He got me one of these blind owl packs from CGC and Jack in the Box. Actually, two of them. So Blind Adam, this is coming into the mail for you. So courtesy of Big Clutch.
Wow, that's nice of you.
I picked up a couple art books I liked. So this is a Perillo, Lucio Perillo art book. Nice. He even signed it. I would show inside, but it is not. There's definitely nudity in it. So, and then Carl Cohen still had one of her art books as well. So this was on the very last day, and then she signed it in the green. So thought that was pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yep. Random card pickup. I was gonna buy a choice box of 1920 Donner's Optic to rip on the airplane, but then I found this instead for less than $200. So
nice.
So this is a BGS 9.5.
That's the optic preview, right?
So this is the optic choice red green parallel. So those red greens are like I think like one per box. So there's only like I don't know like 6-8 cards in the optic choice box. So I was like kind of like
very cool.
I was like, well, instead of paying more money for that and grading, I could just buy it already graded and just cross this over to what's it called? PSA if I want to. Picked up a couple of the Turtles Midtown.
Nice.
So this is the trade, and then I got a couple of the
Japanese style.
Kanjis. With the kanji B cover. So I thought that was a cool cover.
That's amazing.
Yep. Picked up a couple sets of those. I have no idea what they're doing right now, but I mean, it was weird how they did. Picked up a couple of Doctor Who books. My brother and I are Doctor Who fans, so I'm gonna give him the Matt Smith one. I'm gonna keep the Tenant.
Love Matt Smith.
Yeah, he's funny.
House of the Dragon is the man.
So more pickups from the con. The Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. The was this Paralleldium Ashcan
Wow.
IDW. Yeah.
Nice.
So during my first visit, I maxed out of how many I could pick up from there. Stop by Titan Comics. This is the Adam Hughes foil comic cover. I wasn't sure how this was going to turn out, so when I saw it in person, I was like, kind of like, oh, this actually turned out really good as a foil cover. The pictures, didn't do it justice. Limited to 1,000. I could not get into the Campbell line, but again, Top Cow had the 1 in 50s for $50.
Nice.
So I thought this was a good pickup instead. Like, I didn't have to fight a line or anything like that. I could just walk up to the booth and buy a couple of the incentives. I went to the Bad Idea party, so you have to get one of these Planet Deaths. So did yours arrive damaged? On the turtle books? They did not. I stopped by Red 5 Comics. They had this Last Horrormite book. I thought it was really cool because Akira homage.
Yeah.
I can't say no to those.
Hell yeah.
So I was happy about that. I thought this was a sleeper book of the con. This is an Archer Virgin cover that was selling only for $10.
Nice.
So yeah, so I think this over time, depending on how people's reception on the 15th Doctor is, which I think people, I don't know, I haven't watched it, so I don't know. I bought a few of these Spawn blank covers, the gold foil. These are limited to 1,000. I know Spawn blanks usually do pretty good, and especially with the gold foil, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So can't complain about those. This is a Deadpool number 4, Mark Brooks variant, the Lion King homage.
Nice.
So this is the B cover. I sold my A cover on eBay, so I'm debating if I'm going to hold on to this or sell it. I still haven't decided. I might hold on to it. I'm a big Mark Brooks fan. This is the Zatanna book. And with my association with Bird City, you probably think I got it from Ant, but nope. Ran into Lobos on the street, and he was in between streams, and then he invited Bryan and I to visit with Hell Destroyer.
He's the gold foils weren't the ones different than Simonson, and then he's saying Todd McFarlane I'm talking about.
Oh, the gold foils are for issue 350. I think the ones that he signed were a different issue, if I'm not mistaken. So let me know in the chat if that's not the case.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you, brother.
Let's see. This is who is this? This is a Sean Forney cover after Campbell. She-Ra. I was hanging out with Big Leg, and he was on the hunt for this for Matt DeVoe. But I mean, it's hard to pass on a book that's limited to 25. That's numbered as well, right? Limited to 25. Campbell homage. I figured it'd be like one of those future Ghost books that, like, I think that book like basically sold out during preview night. But I mean, for like $20 buy-in for Future Ghost, like, I can't complain. Here's one of my favorite pickups, the Hello Darkness.
Yeah.
The
Those foil, are on the hot 10.
The foil is limited to 250, and the paper one's limited to 500.
Nice.
And then my last, and then top pickups, the X-Men panel book.
Nice. That's amazing. Oh yeah. My god.
For just sitting through a panel for an hour, right? Like, I thought this is... Oh yeah, She-Ra. That's what I meant. I don't know what I said. And then this is my absolute favorite book, the Hello Darkness Jay Lee cover. That red foil at the top. Like, yeah.
Nice. And oh, don't forget your most important pickup is Aaron Yee's haircut. It looks so good. Hell yeah. Flaunt it, baby. Yeah, baby. All right. I just got a couple, and then I'll send you guys on your way. We will end the show, of course, with I'll do the quick rundown with this as Jeff Drake would say, the sneaky low-key background music. So Jubilee has been in Jubilee and a few other mutants, along with Kitty Pryde, what have you, are in the news. And this is a very long-term reach spec. But after what I've seen, I am not pulling my punches. So I went ahead and said, okay, I already have everything with Jubilee. I have her first. I have her first cover, which is on, I believe, is on X-Men Annual 13. I got her second. You know, I got all this stuff. I got her origins. I said, well, I don't have the storyline where she actually gets bit by the Dracula, the new Dracula or whatever. Well, this is 2010. She becomes a vampire. She gets bit in issue 1, the X-Men series of this X-Men series. And this is issue 3 where she actually shown in the panels in full as a vampire. And then the second print, it has her on there, but you can't really tell. I mean, she doesn't. You can't see her teeth or anything, but it's a low print run book. Highly suggest checking that one out. That's in the 2010 series, X-Men 3. If you can't get the regular cover, at least get the second print. It's super low print run. And then in the same series, I went ahead and shout out to Graham Crackers. They had these for $10. They're 1 in 25s, and it has her in her iconic colors as a vampire as well. I thought that was pretty cool. These are 1 in 25s, so I grabbed 2 of them for $10 a piece. There she is right there. So not like a first or anything, but it is the first time I've seen her in her yellow jacket, full-blown vampire on the cover. So I grabbed 2 of those incentives. But yeah, but that's it, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. Anything else you wanted to add, Aaron, before I sign you off?
I definitely want to go to San Diego again next year. So it's definitely a plan. So you definitely need to go. Oh yeah, and then I forgot about this: the American Adolfo original art piece I picked up.
Let me see that.
The commission.
Let me put you over there.
Yeah,
Nice.
This American Adolfo magic. Like, wow. I thought it was like I was super stoked to pick it up. So yeah,
very cool.
Can't forget about that. I need to get a frame for it though.
All right, guys, that was our show for tonight. That is By the Dip, episode 30.1. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Double click the notification bell to all so you don't miss any content forthwith. If you're into cards, make sure notifications are set, because people are telling me they're not getting notifications. And that's it. So appreciate you, Aaron. Aaron, I probably won't see you until Friday if I make the show, because Frankie's not doing real good right now, so we're kind of just watching him. But
yeah,
yeah, I appreciate you, man. So thank you, Aaron. Thank you, everyone. Let's go through the rundown now.